Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where viral stories meet calm, curious analysis. Black Friday 2025. I mean, if you were anywhere online that week, you absolutely saw the screenshots.
I couldn't miss them.
Right. And you probably felt that really strange pressure, this collision of old school consumer chaos and this new kind of robotic control.
That's it, exactly.
It wasn't just another shopping day. It was, I think you could argue, the most chaotic, competitive, and just algorithm-driven sales event we have ever seen, and on a global scale.
That tension you mentioned is really the core of the whole story here. What made Black Friday 2025 so fascinating to watch was that clash. It was something we'd never really seen before.
On one hand, you had what?
Well, on one side, you had this really old school consumer hunger. I mean, we all saw the viral videos of actual physical long lines.
Yeah, people queuing up outside stores again. It felt like something from 2005.
Totally anachronistic. And then on the other side, you had this invisible layer of new tech, of, regulation that was designed specifically to rein all of that in. The AI deal caps from retailers.
And that's really the narrative that defined the whole event, wasn't it? Massive consumer excitement. I mean, record-breaking online traffic peaks across the U.S., the U.K., Australia, Asia.
Everywhere.
But the deals themselves, the actual price drops, were supposed to be under this rigid algorithmic guard. The whole point was to stop those historic money-losing discounts.
It was a fundamentally unstable system. It was just set up for a flashpoint.
And that flashpoint, pretty predictably, came from a massive technical failure.
The price glitch.
The gaming console glitch. And the way everyone documented it, the way those screenshots spread instantly around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the digital artifacts of the chaos. That's what cemented this whole thing in our cultural memory.
So today, we're going to spend some time unpacking exactly what those AI caps were trying to do, why on earth those physical lines came back, and what all the internet theories about the chaos tell us about, well, our entire relationship with shopping.
Okay, let's really break down this sales landscape and how we even got here. Because before 2025, Black Friday was already pretty much unrecognizable from where it started.
Oh, completely. I mean, it began, of course, as a purely American thing.
Right, tied to the post-Thanksgiving weekend. A single crazy day to kick things off.
But understanding its modern form is so key to understanding the friction we saw in 2025. By the mid-2020s, it was totally disconnected from the U.S. calendar. It had become this truly global, multi-week retail event.
Affecting major markets everywhere, the UK, Australia, big Asian e-commerce players, all of them.
Exactly. And that expansion meant it wasn't just about clearing out old inventory anymore. It required this really sophisticated, centralized financial planning.
And as it went global, the tech that was guiding it just became dominant. We're talking about algorithmic pricing, live stream shopping, these social media-driven hype cycles.
It stopped being a day. It became really a financial quarter that was defined by this idea of controlled scarcity.
And that technological control, it seems, created a lot of skepticism among consumers in the run-up to 2025.
A huge amount.
Yeah.
And consumers had started to arm themselves. They were using price tracking tools, history websites. They were challenging the value of these deals.
So they were asking, is this really a discount?
Precisely. They were questioning whether these were genuine discounts or just, manipulated promotions based on inflated before prices.
Yeah.
We were really hitting a crisis point in consumer trust.
Which brings us right to the main trend of Black Friday 2025. This was the retailers' aggressive answer to their own financial risk in that growing skepticism. And this is where we have to talk about the AI-controlled discount caps.
This was the single most significant technological shift, and it was all driven by the bottom line. It was purely financial.
What do you mean?
Retail analysts, they all confirmed that retailers were focused on one thing above all else: avoiding the huge reputation-damaging losses they'd seen in earlier Black Fridays.
Especially in 2024, right? Some big names took a real hit.
They took a bath in 2024. They basically decided that the old model of extreme loss leader discounting was just too volatile, too expensive.
Okay, so let's look at the mechanism. How did this AI thing actually differ from, say, a traditional pricing floor that a person would set? What made the AI cap so special?
Well, an AI cap isn't just a static floor price. It's a dynamic, real-time regulator. It's based on predictive modeling.
So what's it looking at? What are the inputs?
It's analyzing dozens of inputs at once. Things like real-time sales velocity, current inventory levels, what competitors are charging, and this is the crucial part, the retailer's own predetermined profit margin goals for that specific product.
Ah, so it's protecting the margin.
Always. The AI sets a hard limit on the percentage of the discount. For example, it might have a rule that says no electronics product can drop below a 40% margin, and that rule would override any other pressure to discount it further.
And it's making these decisions instantly.
Instantly. It's making algorithmic adjustments that a human team just could never keep up with. It ensures that profit protection is literally baked into every single transaction.
So that real-time control, which was designed to limit how deep the discount could go, that must have had a knock-on effect on how people perceived scarcity.
It had a huge effect.
If you can't make the price historically low, you have to make the availability historically short. Is that the idea?
That's it, precisely. The whole strategy shifted towards what you could call temporal scarcity, time-based scarcity. Sales velocity changed dramatically because retailers started relying on these ultra-short flash windows.
And we saw that with high-demand items, right? The newest TVs, kitchen gadgets, certain fashion items.
Absolutely. The newest OLED TVs, those smart kitchen appliances, specific luxury fashion drops, they were selling out in seconds, not minutes, not hours. Seconds.
And that super fast sellout, even if the discount was, say, only 30% instead of the 60% people used to expect, that drove this wild mix of excitement and, I imagine, a lot of frustration.
Oh, deep frustration. It made the hunt feel incredibly high stakes. It was all engineered around maximizing your psychological engagement and that sense of FOMO.
And that urgency was amplified, I mean, almost weaponized, by the absolute dominance of live stream shopping.
This format wasn't just like a sideshow for Black Friday 2025. It was central to the entire shopping environment, especially in Asia. But it was growing fast in Western markets, too.
Can you describe that environment for us? I mean, how does shopping on a live stream fundamentally change how a consumer behaves compared to just browsing a website?
It completely transforms it. It takes shopping from being this, exploratory, thoughtful activity and turns it into an immediate, high-pressure event. It's almost a performance.
A performance.
Yeah. You have influencers or hosts leading these hour-long deal drops. They build up the excitement, they show you the product, and then very dramatically, they reveal the deal. And it's always next to a very visible countdown timer and a stock counter that's dropping fast.
The pressure is immense.
The psychological goal is crystal clear. Minimize the time you have to think and maximize impulse buying. It blends entertainment, the personality of the host with this immediate transactional scarcity. The pressure to just add to cart before that clock hits zero is intense.
What's so fascinating, though, is the contradiction. You have this hyper-modern, algorithm-controlled digital theater on one hand, and then the surprising return of the physical store.
Yes.
Those viral videos of long lines outside brick-and-mortar shops were just everywhere.
It was a huge cultural moment because it completely reversed years of decline for in-store Black Friday traffic. It made everyone ask the same question. Why? Why would people willingly stand in long lines in the cold when the digital world offered everything at their fingertips?
So what are the theories?
Well, we can hypothesize a few things. One theory is that retailers were strictly rationing certain high-value, loss leader items only to their physical stores just to generate that kind of media attention, get the news vans to show up.
A publicity stunt?
Could be. Another very strong possibility is that the website crashes, which we're about to get into, drove so many frustrated shoppers back to the, relative certainty of a physical place.
Whatever the cause, those images of the queues, they were this weird, almost nostalgic touchstone, a throwback to the Black Friday of a decade ago, happening right in the middle of a global digital meltdown.
Exactly. The human chaos became the media story, and it was this perfect counterbalance to the invisible, precise AI working in the background.
Okay, let's pivot to the regulatory side of things, because this ties directly into that consumer skepticism we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Governments and consumer watchdogs, they actually intervened pretty significantly around the world. They brought in new rules for price transparency.
It was a necessary step. The new rules required much clearer labeling of real price versus sale price.
So this was to combat those fake deals, where a retailer would jack up the price for a week just to claim a massive discount later.
That's exactly what it was for. Regulations in places like the UK and the EU now required retailers to display the lowest price the item had been sold for in the last 30 or even 90 days before the sale.
So instead of just saying, $100 off the list price, they might have to show something like previous lowest price, $250, current sale price, $200.
Yes. It gives the consumer a real, tangible baseline.
It provides a verifiable number to judge the actual value of the discount. That puts direct pressure on retailers who are relying on that kind of pricing trickery.
It was transparency directly fighting manipulation, and it happened right at the same moment that the AI was trying to control the size of the discount.
That duality transparency fighting price control is what makes this whole event so unique. And it leads us straight into the system failures and the glitches that became instant global trends.
The big one.
Let's start with the infamous price glitch.
The gaming console incident. It was like global lightning in a bottle. Now, we can't say for sure what caused it. Could have been human error during an update. A system sync failure, maybe an algorithmic test that went wrong.
But the result was?
The result was that this next-gen console was briefly listed at a price that was basically a rounding error. I mean, it was listed for dramatically less than its retail cost, maybe just the cost of the packaging.
And the consumer reaction, how did it spread so fast?
The key was instantaneous, massive screenshot sharing. This wasn't people reading a news story a few hours later. They were sharing their own proof, their photographic evidence from their cart, their digital receipt of the error.
So it felt more real.
Infinitely more real. This documentation is what drove the global trending. And it created this absolute fever pitch of excitement and confusion. It was a race to check out before the retailer could fix it. The demand it created was way beyond what any marketing campaign could ever dream of achieving.
Which almost certainly contributed to the second major failure: system overload. The source notes mention multiple website crashes at huge retailers across different regions right during those peak flash sales.
It's the ultimate irony of engineering scarcity, isn't it? Retailers successfully create record-breaking online traffic, but then their own infrastructure just buckles under the load.
Especially during those super high-pressure deal drops.
Exactly. If you funnel all your customers into one specific minute to buy one specific thing and the site crashes, you're not only preventing sales at the most profitable moment, you're generating intense frustration with your brand. It really showed that while the pricing strategy was AI-controlled, the technical backbone was often still pretty brittle.
So beyond the AI caps, let's look at the other strategies retailers were using to manage this chaos. How did they use pricing and inventory to, ration items and maximize their long-term value?
We saw a really intense and widespread use of dynamic pricing, which is just the logical next step of having this AI influence.
So prices weren't static for the day.
Not at all. They were fluctuating minute by minute based on incredibly granular data, real-time demand, what a specific competitor was doing, even local things like regional stock levels or what the system perceived as local economic indicators.
So the price could be different depending on where you were logging in from.
Potentially, yes. The strategy is all about extracting the maximum possible profit from every single transaction rather than just applying one blanket discount for everyone.
And what about rationing the best items? I saw a lot about loyalty program only mega deals.
Yes, that was a very powerful tool they used to segment the audience.
A strategic tactic, I'm guessing?
Highly strategic. It does two critical things. First, it rations those super valuable loss leader discounts to a very select group. This manages supply and makes sure the best items don't just vanish in a free-for-all.
And the second thing?
More importantly, it reinforces specific high-value customer groups. It incentivizes you to stay loyal all year long. It ensures that the customers who get the best deals are also the ones who are most invested in the retailer's whole ecosystem. They provide valuable data and, predictable future spending.
So when we step back from all of this, the controls, the glitches, the loyalty rationing, what was the overall consumer sentiment?
It was profoundly fractured. I mean, there was genuine excitement for sure, because even with the AI caps, getting 30% off a new high-demand electronic is still a real bargain.
Right.
But that excitement was constantly being undercut by intense frustration. Frustration over the instant sellouts, the inability to even get onto a crashing website, mixed with all those accusations of fake deals that just wouldn't go away.
So the AI controls, which were supposed to stabilize profits, they ended up just amplifying the emotional roller coaster for the consumer.
That's a perfect way to put it. The volatility of the experience went through the roof.
And if we compare all this to the financial risks they took back in 2024, the difference seems pretty stark.
Oh, absolutely. 2024 was basically the high watermark of risk before the entire retail sector just pulled back. The losses that several major global companies experienced in 2024 because they over-discounted to clear out old inventory or just got into a price war, that was the direct catalyst for the heavy-handed algorithmic control we saw in 2025.
So it was a strategic global shift from prioritizing market share at any cost
to prioritizing absolute margin protection. The AI caps are the physical manifestation of that pivot.
So retailers decided basically that sacrificing a little bit of sales volume was worth it if it guaranteed a higher profit on each unit.
Yes. And they used technological scarcity, the flash sales, the dynamic pricing, to replace the excitement they lost by limiting the discounts.
And the physical store comeback, even if it was partly an accident, it gave them a kind of relief valve.
It did. It satisfied a certain segment of the customer base that just wanted a reliable, non-digital way to make a transaction.
What about the government interventions? Were they all on the same page in different regions?
The unity was really in the intent, which was to fight misinformation and, price obfuscation. The specific rules varied. The UK was really focused on showing the previous selling price, while parts of Asia were more focused on regulating the advertised stock for live stream deals. But the global movement was toward making sure the consumer had a clear, standard way to assess value.
So it's this global push for clarity happening at the same time as a technological push for opacity.
That's one of the lasting legacies of Black Friday 2025.
It really sounds like the event is less about retail now and more about a massive stress test of technology, regulation, and consumer psychology all at once.
That's precisely what it's become. A complex, high-stakes system designed to perfectly balance risk and reward, which occasionally fails in the most spectacular way. And that only adds to the spectacle.
And this is where the whole event becomes just cultural gold. Because the combination of that intense, invisible tech control and the very visible chaos, the crashes, the glitches, it created the perfect storm for online speculation. Consumers weren't just shopping. They were trying to decode what they saw as a conspiracy.
The environment was just ripe for it. The average person has no visibility into how these decisions are being made, right? The AI's data, the server capacity limits, the pricing rules. So the most prominent and widely shared theory was the accusation of intentional crashes.
That sounds so counterintuitive from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Can you break that theory down for us? Why would people actually believe a retailer was purposely crashing its own very expensive website?
Well, the theory comes from a place of deep cynicism. It suggests that a crash isn't a sign of incompetence, it's a strategic move.
A strategy. How?
By letting the sites buckle under the pressure, the retailers manufacture this huge artificial hype. The logic is, if the site is crashing, the deals must be so good that they literally broke the internet. So the theory frames the crash as a psychological tool to validate the frenzy and crank up the FOMO.
And it makes any deal you do manage to get feel more valuable.
Exactly. It transforms a technical failure into a marketing win.
It's a dark way to look at it.
Yeah.
But I can see the logic, given how aggressively they engineered scarcity in every other part of the event. If you control the price, why wouldn't you control availability by controlling the system stability?
That's the thinking. And that suspicion was reinforced by the next big theory, which directly challenged the whole premise of the AI controls, the claim that the AI pricing limits were rigged.
Okay, so how did this theory challenge the function of the AI caps?
So consumers were arguing that the algorithms weren't just controlling discounts to protect profit margins. They were arguing that the AIs were explicitly designed to prevent anyone from getting a true historical bargain.
Like a fire sale.
Exactly. They felt the system was programmed so precisely that if a real bargain like the gaming console glitch did happen to emerge, the system would immediately either fail or fix itself or just prioritize high-value customers. The AI caps were seen as these deliberate, unmovable walls blocking you from genuine savings.
Which would be incredibly frustrating for a consumer who's been trained for years to expect those kinds of deals.
Deeply frustrating. And then maybe the most socially divisive theory was the one about influencer discounts. That generated a ton of resentment. Right. We know the loyalty programs had exclusive deals, but this was something else.
This theory went further. It claimed that the key influencers, the hosts of those live stream deals, had secret exclusive discount codes or early access that guaranteed them the best prices on the most limited items. So it wasn't just a marketing advantage, it was seen as unfair.
It was framed as a systemic, invisible unfairness. It added this element of, class division and unequal access to an already chaotic environment. The general public felt like they were left fighting over the scraps the algorithm allowed, while a select few got special treatment.
So when you combine the invisible AI caps, the system failures that people think are strategic, and the perceived influencer favoritism, the whole thing stops being about shopping.
And it becomes what the theory suggested, one big psychological experiment in mass manipulation.
That's where the cultural interpretation really lands, isn't it? Black Friday 2025 went way beyond a retail day and became this manifestation of late-stage capitalism as a form of entertainment that you participate in.
Which led directly to the explosion of the gaming metaphor.
Let's get into that. The memes that portrayed Black Friday as an annual boss battle or a capitalist survival game, they were everywhere.
It's a perfect metaphor. It captures the competitive, frantic nature of trying to get a deal. The consumer is forced to think like a player. You're not browsing, you're strategizing.
And the boss is the retailer's complex, glitchy, AI-controlled system.
Right. The levels are navigating the digital waiting rooms, solving kept CHAs, battling site crashes, and the final victory is getting that one item in your cart before the timer runs out. Framing it like that, even as a joke, it helps people cope with the stress. It turns a moment of financial anxiety into this kind of relatable zero-sum game.
And these cultural takes are all deeply connected to real underlying economic anxieties.
Oh, absolutely. The conversation wasn't just about the fun of the game. It was intertwined with the economic uncertainty and stress people were feeling all over the world.
So for a lot of people, in a climate with high inflation or job insecurity, getting 40% off a new washing machine isn't a luxury.
It's a necessary strategic purchase to protect against future financial strain, and that increases the emotional weight of shopping FOMO. The fear of missing out on a deal is so much stronger when that deal represents real, necessary savings for your family.
So the spectacle itself acts as both a reflection of that anxiety and also, strangely, a kind of temporary pressure release.
Yes, the commentary online explicitly framed Black Friday as cultural entertainment. People were talking about it like it was a major sports event, not just in terms of viewership, but in the way people discussed it, made predictions, and did post-game analysis of who won the deal battle.
And the media environment just put all of this on hyperspeed. The sheer speed of the price error screenshots and conspiracy theories spreading is a huge part of the story.
The fact that errors were being documented and shared instantly meant that any perceived mistake or manipulation was broadcast at lightning speed.
So the excitement, the frustration, and often the misinformation spread way faster than any official statement from a retailer could.
Exactly. The shared screenshot became the dominant, if often flawed, currency of information during the event. It really confirmed how aware and how self-documenting the consumer ecosystem has become.
It seems like Black Friday 2025 really solidified this idea that the performance of the sale, the spectacle, the fight, the viral drama, is now completely inseparable from the actual transaction.
It confirmed that the competition against the system and the participation in the cultural moment are just as powerful a motivator as the discount you get at the end. It's retail theater at its most extreme.
Okay, let's shift into the hard analysis. Let's move past the theories and look at what the data actually shows us. The central tension, again, was between traditional discounts and AI regulation. So what was the net financial result of the AI deal caps?
The analysis confirms that the AI caps, they largely succeeded in their main goal, which was protecting profit margins. They regulated pricing and avoided those massive loss-making discounts.
So retailers made a clear choice to prioritize margin over sheer sales volume. That's a shift from previous years.
A huge shift.
But here's the crucial question. Did that control strategy actually deter consumers? I mean, the caps prevented the historic 80% off deals, so did demand just collapse?
Far from it. The outcome was record online traffic peaks, which tells us that the controlled, lower percentage discounts were still attractive enough, and the marketing spectacle that went with them, the scarcity, the flash sales, the live stream pressure, was compelling enough to generate massive record-breaking demand.
So consumers kind of adapted their expectations to this new reality of controlled value.
They absolutely did.
So the AI successfully protected the profits, while the marketing strategy successfully maintained the emotional intensity. The price of control, in this case, seems to have been more stable profits with no real drop in consumer engagement.
That's the big strategic takeaway. It proved that Black Friday's value now has multiple parts. It's part genuine, if controlled, discount, part psychological release, and part, compulsory cultural event. Even if the discount wasn't as deep, the high-pressure timing and scarcity made the act of getting the purchase psychologically valuable in itself.
And this successful balancing act explains why algorithmic control is, without a doubt, the future of this event. Why are retailers leaning so hard into automation, even when it creates all this mistrust?
It's because of the precision, the scale, and the flexibility that automation gives them. Dynamic pricing lets retailers tie prices directly to real-time supply and demand with a level of detail that was impossible before.
So they can adjust prices based on a specific zip code's inventory or what a local competitor is doing.
Or even the time of day and the traffic patterns. That level of responsiveness is absolutely vital when you're managing billions of dollars in transactions across the globe in a single day.
And crucially, it's also a sophisticated tool for mitigating risk.
Exactly. Retailers are hedging. They're hedging against external economic pressures like surprise inflation or supply chain problems, and also against unpredictable consumer expectations. The AI ensures that profitability is, in a way, algorithmically guaranteed. It provides a buffer against the pressure to give huge discounts no matter what the market is doing in that moment.
It stabilizes a fundamentally chaotic event.
That's the goal.
So let's address that debate that comes up every year. Whether Black Friday even still matters in an era where we have constant mini sales. Cyber Monday, Prime Day, Singles Day. If we're always being sold to, why does this one period continue to dominate?
The data gives us a really clear answer to that skepticism. Despite all those other sales, Black Friday continues to completely dominate global search trends and consumer intent. it is still the one critical focal point. It's the kickoff to the entire holiday spending season.
So no other single event gets that level of global, synchronized consumer spending power.
Nothing else even comes close. So it's the cultural weight of it, the collective agreement that we all shop now that makes the difference. It's bigger than the depth of any one discount.
It functions as a global deadline.
A globally accepted deadline, yes. A guaranteed moment of maximum activity. Retailers plan their whole year around it. Consumers budget for it. It's structurally essential to the annual retail calendar, even if the discounts are now managed by an AI. The AI just ensures the spectacle stays profitable.
And that enduring consumer expectation is itself a driver of the volatility. If consumers expect the chaos and the scarcity, retailers are almost forced to deliver that experience, even if the pricing is now controlled.
The consumer expectation feeds the system. Those record traffic peaks are the ultimate proof of this strategy. Retailers successfully engineered an event where the effort of participating, the competition against the algorithm, was almost as psychologically rewarding as the discount itself. They solidified that capitalist survival game mentality as a genuine part of the value.
So what's the big lesson, the knowledge nugget that Black Friday 2025 gave us about the future of global retail?
I think Black Friday 2025 showed us that the event has completely shifted away from just being about inventory clearance. It's now a highly complex, heavily engineered spectacle. It's driven by algorithms that are trying to perfectly balance these conflicting demands. High-margin profit protection on one side, and the need for manufactured scarcity and viral hype on the other. The future of holiday shopping is this: controlled, automated excitement where consumer psychology is factored into the price with the same precision as the cost of raw materials.
It was a really fascinating mix of human hunger and robotic precision. And the strategies we saw are definitely continuing to shape how retailers plan for the future.
And we should also remember the other side of it, the rise in regulation around price transparency. The event wasn't just a stress test for retail technology, it was also a stress test for the global regulatory environment that's trying to keep up with all this algorithmic sophistication.
So the ultimate battleground isn't really the price tag itself anymore.
No, it's the transparency of the mechanism that generated that price.
I think we can probably anticipate that future regulatory fights will shift. They'll move away from just the real price versus sale price label, and they'll start demanding transparency around the inputs and the boundaries of the pricing algorithms themselves.
That's a critical point. As AI takes more and more opaque control over dynamic pricing, the demand for algorithmic accountability, specifically understanding how those discount cap percentages are set and why that's going to become the next major front for consumer advocacy.
The consumer wants to trust the system.
But the more invisible the system becomes, the higher the suspicion. Black Friday 2025 was a spectacular high-stakes stress test of that automated retail strategy. And it showed us that when technology tries to impose perfect control, the chaos that results is often just amplified and shifted somewhere else, but it's never truly eliminated.
It confirmed that human emotion, excitement, frustration, and just the desire for a bargain is still the most volatile variable in the entire system. That brings us to the end of our analysis of Black Friday 2025. A year defined by the intense clash between automated, margin-protecting pricing strategy and chaotic consumer hunger, all documented and disseminated globally through instant digital artifacts.
It was a landmark event for both retail technology and consumer culture, confirming that the pursuit of a bargain remains a powerful, if now highly complicated and engineered, global tradition.
Next episode, we're unpacking the Hong Kong Inferno, the dramatic event that sparked fear, misinformation, and nonstop global attention. Stay tuned.